Hello, I'm Jason Isaacson. Welcome to HAC Perspectives. And I'm here today with Dr. Patrick Clawson, who is the Morningstar Senior Fellow and Research Counselor at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, where he directs the Viterbi program on Iran and U.S. policy. And Patrick is a longtime friend and has often guided my organization and many organizations and the U.S. government on Iran policy as well. So, Patrick, thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We have been discussing the Iranian nuclear program for more than 20 years. I think back even before you joined the Washington Institute when you were at the National Defense University. Thank you for continuing to inform many in the Washington policy establishment about what's going on in Iran. Step back from the events of June, the Israeli 12-day aerial campaign against Iranian nuclear, military, and other strategic assets, including a brief but powerful U.S. intervention to bomb 3 nuclear facilities, and describe how essential to the Iranian regime is the country's military nuclear program, a program, at least the nuclear program, perhaps with military dimensions that may have emerged later, that began actually in the period before the Iranian Revolution of 1979.
Well, what began before the Iranian Revolution in 1979 was in part a power program at a time when the expectation was that nuclear power would be the wave of the future.
Right.
And furthermore, when Iran's oil production was much higher than it is today, and Iran thought it would run out of oil in coming decades. And so nuclear power was the future.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know that the Shah's attitude was, well, once we have a large nuclear power program, then let's see what else we can do. But nothing specific was done about that. Now, the Islamic Republic made fun of the Shah's nuclear program and discontinued it and did not restart it until after the Iran-Iraq War, when the Islamic Republic came to the conclusion they didn't have any friends and they needed to be able to develop powerful weapons themselves in order to defend themselves. Now, I think that the development of the nuclear program, in retrospect, has been a big mistake because Iran spent tens and tens of billions of dollars to build something which only caused a lot of concern and worries abroad, and eventually they lost most of it. They would have done much better to concentrate on other aspects of what they were doing, building up their proxy forces, building up their missile forces, where they've had very considerable success. If Iran had concentrated on proxies and missiles, frankly, most of the rest of the world would have ignored their human rights violations and their disturbing activities abroad. It's their nuclear program which drew so much attention and drew those sanctions, which have cost them so much money. But the Islamic Republic leadership did not agree with me. And in any case, now that they've spent all that time and money and building up this program and training all these people, they kind of decided to pursue that path. And so this is an extremely important path for them, especially because neither their missile program nor their proxies are looking particularly good right now. And so therefore, this nuclear path may look like to the leadership like the best way to reestablish deterrence.
Have the events, though, of the last several weeks pushed them away from their determination to achieve military nuclear capability, or has it hardened their determination?
We don't know for sure. The last few weeks has had a horrible effect on Iran's large-scale nuclear program, but it may well have left Iran with certain elements that it can use to build a handful of nuclear weapons if it wants to. So there's the amount of enriched uranium that they had beforehand, and they may well be able to rescue a few of their centrifuges. And that would be enough to build, to get the fissile material for a small number of nuclear weapons. Then they have to convert that fissile material into a bomb. And to do that safely, you need to have what's called a conversion facility, and the U.S. destroyed that. But frankly, you can do what the Chinese did, which is just simply take it to a machine lathe and work on it, and the person who does it dies of radiation sickness afterwards, but you end up with a bomb.
Words that we've heard, the statements that we've heard from Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, from other Iranian officials since the bombings, do not suggest that they're backing away from their nuclear program at all, does it? Do they? Or
Well,
is there a possibility that through negotiations they could recognize the futility of pursuing nuclear weapons?
Well, Khamenei's approach to life is that compromise is a slippery slope, and that you can end up losing everything if you compromise, and that resist, and if you slap back harder.
Mm-hmm.
So even if he's made a decision to back away from the nuclear weapon, he's not going to tell you that directly. And so just because he's giving this bold face, not necessarily tell you that much about which way he's planning to go.